Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. It is the FIDE World Cup 2025. It is round 2 tiebreaks. Lots of players fighting to stay in the tournament. Lots of big names. We saw 3 huge names crash out yesterday. Wesley So, Jan Nepomniachtchi, and Arvind from India. It was an incredible day. We're not done. The upsets continue, and they continue into this first game. We have got Hans Niemann versus Lorenzo Lodici. Both grandmasters. Hans has got the black pieces. This was one of their tiebreak games. This was, I believe, the second rapid game. They play a best of 4. They play a best of 4 games. 2 games, sorry, rapid games. Both of their classical games ended in a draw. This is the first rapid game. Hans with the black pieces. We get a Spanish opening. Hans plays the traditional main line. We get an open Spanish after castles and bishop to e7. Bishop takes c6, d takes c6. We have seen this line before in one of these recaps or in a recent video. This is a line that has been played a lot with the knight going back and allowing white to try and push for the initiative, and black has to play very passively. But it has been done before. In fact, this move, I believe, was played by Deng Liren against Jan Nepomniachtchi in their World Championship match. d4, e takes, c takes, and short castles. Now we get knight to c3 and b5. And black is going to expand on the queen side. Very simple. You can see the clocks down there. a4, b4, knight jumps into the center. It gets targeted. And there's not really many places it can go to, so we grab the bishop. And we played this move d5. It looks natural because you're blocking out this bishop, but it's maybe not worth it. The best move, according to the engine, and white's up on time here, so they could afford maybe a couple minutes, is to play bishop to f4. Just develop. Target this, and you're fine. Because they can't take this. Really, because you just run into a huge amount of problems. Knight d2 for a start, and if you go here to try and protect your bishop, you're just going to run into huge problems. So it's not a pawn you have to defend. So you can afford to be patient. d5 gets played. Rook fe8. Bishop to g5. Queen d6. And now queen to d2. a5 locks everything down the queen side. But white is slightly better. Despite making that mistake, white is better. Bishop to f4 targets the queen. Rook ac1 and rook ad8. Queen to c2. Bishop over. White's advantage is just growing because they've just got a better position. It's crazy to think. The material is completely equal. King safety is equal. It is simply because I have these two very strong pawns. Your structure is weak and you never got it moving. And this will be almost impossible to push through. b3. Queen to f6. Bishop to g3 gets out the way. And now after c6. Taking gives away everything. Just by the way. Taking gives away everything that you've worked for. You have to play d6. Which is what is played. This is the move that you've been working for. It is now a clean passed pawn. Everybody now has to worry about this. You can defend it. You can bring the knight in. You can bring the rook in. And that is what you're playing for. Rook c d8. Knight to f3. Queen moves out the way. Knight to h4. And I can get my knight to f5. And after c4, I can bring the knight back. Target the queen. Queen has to move. And now you can take this. But you can first play e5. And after that, now you can trade queens and you can grab on c4. Allow c5, yes, but now the knight jumps in. And you can grab this pawn. And Hans Niemann is losing. And he's not only losing, he is completely lost and falls victim to knight takes c5 sacrifice. Why? Because if you trade, knight takes c5, bishop takes c5, you cannot take this. Because d7, and I'm going to queen. You can play rook d3. I've got rook ed1. And you're bust. You have to sack the rook back, and you will be down at least the exchange. An incredible knight sacrifice. And we get this line. We get bishop takes instead, but now bishop takes. And now we're just in an endgame where Lodici is just up 2 pawns, and he's still got a very strong pass pawn. And Hans Niemann has to defend this. He has to defend this. And a couple mistakes and maybe he's back in it. Maybe he's back in it. The advantage is dwindling. Now he's pinned his bishop. Now he gives checks and he gives away... You want to take that, just by the way, but then you're allowing too many problems because that bishop is doing a fantastic job covering the promotion square. King goes the wrong way. A mistake, but Hans Niemann finds a little bit of counterplay. He breaks apart the pawn structure, and now he's captured the passed pawn. Ludici's advantage is almost completely gone, as they are now in a time scramble. King to g5, check. And now we have to push. We still have a pawn advantage, but it's not enough. And look at that, rook takes c8. It's a draw. It's a draw. The idea was obviously rook takes bishop. No. I take. You can grab here, but this is a draw. This is a draw. Theoretically, this is a draw. And it was a draw up until here. There are two moves that hold for black. They are rook to g3 and rook to g2. And in the strangest fashion, Hans Niemann blunders the game with rook to g1. I don't even understand the difference. But f6 comes now. Rook f1 is played. Bishop to e3. And now rook f3, h7 check. King to h8, f7. Rook g3 check. Bishop to g5. Hans Niemann loses. And he was not able to win the second tiebreak game, meaning he is out of the FIDE World Cup. And just by the way, there is no stalemate trick here because the king can come up, if not take the pawn. And what you would do is you would promote, force the king over, and promote the other one. Unbelievable fashion. Hans Niemann is gone. But I have two more games for you. This next one was just one of these players popping off, if I can describe it as that, popping off. We've got Jose Martinez with the white pieces being forced into tiebreaks. He had a very interesting day, actually, because he was playing in the World Cup, and then he still managed to get back in time to play Title Tuesday. He was playing it on his hotel bed from his cell phone, which was, he said, was actually quite nice, which was just interesting. And he's playing Vladimir Ivinčić. Now, Jose Martinez would be a huge elimination, but these players are, in terms of rating, in terms of classical ability, quite level, but this is not a classical game. This, ladies and gentlemen, was a blitz game. They could not settle it in rapid tiebreaks. They had to go to blitz games. And we got a ready from Jose Martinez, which kind of became like a Neo-Catalan, reverse Benoni kind of structure with the knight coming in, and f4 and rook to d8. But what this game is going to be known for in years to come is something completely absurd. So we sacrifice a pawn. Kind of, but not really. The bishop comes out, we target the knight, and you've just got to go for an attack, right? It's a blitz game. And call it how you want, you have to settle these games somehow. They can't play classical games forever. So the knight trades off, and now we take. And we allow a trade of queens, and we allow this trade. So surely, how does the game get spicy from here, ladies and gentlemen? You've got no idea. Knight to d7, bishop to d2, a5, rook ac1, bishop to c5, a mistake. I can play rook e1, king f8, king f1, b6. We're in an endgame. a3, a4, f5, bishop to d6, and now rook c6, and now you've got to be very careful. Bishop to c5 is not good enough because f6. And somehow, someway, your king is not safe. Despite the fact I have only two bishops and two rooks, your king is not safe. G takes f6, pawn takes f6, your king's escape squares are cut off, and you've got huge problems. But surely there's no way to break through, ladies and gentlemen. Knight to b8 goes the wrong way. rook to c7, knight to a6. So first, we sacrifice the rook. Rook c e7. Completely allows you to take, but this would be a fork. And you would get back everything you earned. You would be up a piece. So it is not possible to take the rook. King to g8. Now d6. Important move. Why? Because after rook a b8, you can sacrifice the rook again because you can play d7. And now you are threatening mates all over the board. But I can get back. I can play knight to c7. Okay. Bishop to c6. Sacrificing the rook again. These are a bit cheapo, brilliant moves, but just reinforcing that e8 square. Now knight to e6. Because when you sacrifice, I will not take, I will blockade. That's fine. King e2. Sacrificing the rook. Once again, you still cannot take because this capture would be problematic. d3 check. Now king takes d3, bishop to d4, and look at this, rook 7 takes e6. The rook! He sacrifices the rook. F takes e6, king takes d4. King f7, we bring the king to e5. King went on a run, a spiritual journey, all the way into the position, and king to c7. From g1 to c7 in a flash. And Jose Martinez wins. And he is through to the next round in the most incredible of fashions. But ladies and gentlemen, there was one game, one matchup that stood out amongst the rest. And it's maybe two players you've not heard a lot about. But ladies and gentlemen, they could not be separated in classical games. They could not be separated in playoffs. They could only be separated in Armageddon. Just by the way, these players played Rasmus Svane played 2 games in the first round, and he's played 13 total. They played 11 games against each other. Not all of them were draws. These players drew their 2 classical games, drew the 2 rapid games, exchanged wins in the Blitz all the way until this. Armageddon. White gets more time on the clock. You can see it. It's only a minute. Black gets draw odds. White must win. d4, knight to f6. Knight to f3, g6. And we get a very cagey setup. But it is something you want. You want black thinking. You want to use your time advantage. You want to create problems. As we get our bishop kicked around the board. But look at that. 9 moves and Rasmus Svane is winning. And he is still up on time. Playing a crazy, crazy opening. h3 kicks out the knight. Now, we had the opportunity here. Why queen is so powerful here? It's because you're putting pressure on this. You're not allowing the pawn to come forward. And if, for example, queen to e7, now you've got knight to knight to a3 coming in this way. This is under pressure, and you're just going to cause huge, huge problems. It's missed. Would have given a much larger advantage. Instead, now the game is a bit more level. Knight to c7, knight fd2, just miss after miss in this sensational game. c4, d takes c4, knight takes, and the queens do not get traded. We get this awkward trade, and now no one's trading queens. Knight's coming forward, because if this bishop takes over here, I have the fork on this square. Sorry, mouse is not working. No b tonight, though, by the way. If you don't know what I'm talking about, watch yesterday's video. Knight to f5, e4. Blocking in your light squared bishop, yes, but now the knight can't occupy that square. So it doesn't have to go. danger levels. We can attack the queen. Queen to e2. Now the knight has to move. It does, and we chop it. Oh, when we play knight to d6, the better move here is to close out the bishop, because then you can bring a rook and target this pawn and open up your bishop as well. Really, really multi-purpose move. Knight to d6 looks nice, but I can actually just take it and bring my bishop over and win the exchange back, and now the queen can come in. Now you can't push the pawn, and you're going to struggle to defend your biggest asset and to win this. So white actually lost all of their advantage, and they've lost their time advantage as well, which is all the more important. We get f4, queen takes d6, e5. You've got to still push. Queen slides over, a3, a5, rook d1, a takes b4, queen takes b4. Queen trade? Yes, queen trade. Bishop slides over, we can take. Now we're up a pawn. We've got something tangible to play for, and that's all white needs at this point in time. Oh dear. Rook to a4 is a mistake, and now I can play rook d7. And if you take this, I can play bishop to d5. And you can't defend that. And I will also win that probably at some point. So you've got to play rook to a1 check, but it's not good enough. King to f2. Sorry, I'm recording this a bit late. Rook to a2, king to f1. No perpetual, no perpetual, no perpetual, no perpetual. We go to h2. Probably where we should have gone right at the start. Rook to a2 takes. Now we've got to defend this pawn. Keep it on light squares. Pin the bishop, push the pawn. Bishop comes forward here, but now, oh, that might be it. That might be it. Oh, we make a getaway square, because now check and I can come up. Rook comes forward, but oh, I'm sliding out the way. Bishop to f2. We're going for broke. b8 equals queen. Rasmus Svane wins. Why? Because this is not check. This is check. But you can simply play king to h2, and you've got nothing else. Bishop to g1 is your final chance. I can take here. Ooh. And all you've got left is to sack the bishop, and I will mate you. You can try and run, play something like g5. I will mate you. Queen to g8, probably quickest. b8 equals queen, final move of the game. Rasmus Svane, after 11 games, he did have the day off, but he's now been there for 5 days playing chess. 6 days, if you count the day off he technically kind of had, because he didn't go to tiebreaks in the first round. He's on to round 3. Absolutely sensational. Hans Niemann is out. Jan Nepomniachtchi is out. Wesley So is out. So many other players are out. But Gukesh is still in. Prague is still in. So is Yagis Khan Erdoğan. So is Rasmus Svane. So is Jose Martinez. I believe.